Yo, what if I told you everything? Yeah, every single thing is a rich man's trick. We're talking Hitler rising to power, JFK getting taken out, 9/11 shaking the world, the Iraq War messing up the Middle East, the 2008 financial crisis crashing the economy, even the COVID-19 pandemic, all tied together by the same greedy hands pulling the strings. This ain't just some random history, it's a pattern of power, money and control, played out over decades by the wealthy elite. Buckle up, cause we're about to break it all down in a way that hits home. Let's roll. First up, Hitler. You might think the Nazi party just popped off out of nowhere, but nah, it was bankrolled by some seriously loaded cats. German bigwigs like Fritz Thyssen, a steel tycoon, saw Hitler as their shield against communism messing with their cash flow. They were throwing him stacks to build that war machine, but it wasn't just locals. American heavyweights were in on it too. Ford's German brands, Ford Reich, was pumping out trucks for the Nazi army, and IBM's tech was tracking their twisted logistics. Even banks like Chase and JP Morgan were funding Hitler, and get this, they kept the cash flowing after the US entered World War II. Why? War's a goldmine, and these dudes were all about that profit. The Treaty of Versailles set the stage after World War I, crushing Germany and leaving it ripe for the picking. Rich vultures swooped in, snagging assets on the cheap, and propped up Hitler to protect their interests. It's messed up. They funded a monster because he kept their wallets fat. That's the rich man's trick in action. Now let's jump to JFK. His assassination's one of those mysteries you can't shake. But here is the tea. The rich and powerful had their fingerprints all over it. Kennedy was stepping on toes, big time. He wanted to dismantle the CIA, pull out of Vietnam, and cut tax breaks for oil tycoons. That's a triple threat to the elite. The CIA was fuming after he botched their Bay of Pigs plan. The Mafia was ticked cause his brother Robert was cracking down on their hustle, and oil barons like Clint Murinson and Hazel Hunt were salty about losing their cash cow. These crews weren't playing around. So November 22nd, 1963, Delhi Plaza, Dallas. Bam! They took him out. Official story? Lee Harvey Oswald, lone gunman, one rifle. Please, that's flimsy. Witnesses saw shooters everywhere. 8 snipers, 16 shots, hits from all angles. Arnold Rowland clocked a guy with a rifle in the Texas School Book Depository, but not where Oswald was. Richard Randolph Carr saw 2 dudes on the 6th floor, and Lee Bowers spotted 2 behind the grassy knoll. This was a pro job, planned tight. The Mafia and CIA had history from trying to whack Castro. When Kennedy nixed that, they turned on him. The cover-up? The Warren Commission, led by Allen Dulles. The CIA boss Kennedy fired, swept it under the rug, autopsy botched, brain gone, Zapruder film edited, rich man's trick, eliminate the problem, control the story. Fast forward to 9/11, September 11th, 2001. Official line says 19 hijackers from Osama bin Laden's crew flew planes into the Twin Towers and Pentagon. But hold up, things don't add up. Those towers dropped like a controller demo, straight down, free fall speed with molten steel in the rubble. Building 7th wasn't even hit by a plane, yet it collapsed too. Same vibe. The Pentagon? Holes too small. Damage looks more like a missile than a jet. Something's off. Who's cashing in? The military-industrial complex, that's who. Wars in Afghanistan and Iraq kicked off, and defense companies raked in billions of dollars. Oil crews tapped Middle Eastern reserves, and the Patriot Act gave the government more control over us all. Check this. The think tank called the Project for the New American Century, with players like Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, said they needed a new Pearl Harbor to boost military power. Then, right before 9/11, airline stock got hit with shady insider trades. Someone knew and banked on it. This wasn't just a terrorism, it was a rich man's trick to stack cash and lock down on power. Now let's talk about what happened next, cause the rich weren't done yet. After 9/11, the US government started pushing this narrative that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. WMDs. Saddam Hussein's got nukes, they said, and is ready to use them. The media ate it up, and boom, public support for war was locked in. But here is the thing, there were no WMDs. Zero. Zilts. The whole story was a lie, and the elite knew it. So why push it? Follow the money. Iraq sitting on one of the world's biggest oil reserves, and the war opened the door for companies like Halliburton, where Dick Cheney, the vice president, used to be CEO, to swoop in and cash out. Halliburton got billions in no-bid contracts for everything from oil infrastructure to military support. Meanwhile, defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Boeing were stacking paper too, selling weapons and gear for the war effort. The rich got richer, and the rest of us, we got stuck with the bill, trillions in debt, and a destabilized Middle East that's still a mess today. It gets worse. The government knew there were no WMDs. Insiders like former Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill admitted the war was planned way before 9/11. They just needed an excuse, and 9/11 gave it to them. The elite played the public like a fiddle, using fear to justify a war that was all about oil and profits. Another rich man's trick, and we're still paying for it. Remember how after 9/11 and the Iraq war, the government was tossing trillions at wars and defense contracts? While all that was going down, the rich suits back home were cooking up their next disaster. Enter the 2008 financial crisis. Banks were playing a wild game with something called mortgage-backed securities. Stay with me, it's not as dull as it sounds, cause this is where it gets real shady. They were handing out loans to anyone who could fog a mirror, even if they couldn't pay. Then they bundled these junk loans and sold them as safe investments to pension funds, schools, whoever. It's like hawking a ticking time bomb as a teddy bear. When the housing bubble popped in 2008, boom, the system crashed. Banks were toast, the economy tanked, and millions of regular folks lost their homes and jobs. Here is the twist. The government bailed out the banks with your tax dollars, trillions to save the clowns who caused it. And the bankers? They kept their fat bonuses, mansions and yachts. Meanwhile, the average Joe was on the street. Imagine robbing a bank, getting caught, and the judge hands you a bonus. That's the rich man's trick. Rig the game so they win, and everybody else foots the bill. Alright, let's fast forward to something we all lived through. COVID-19. The world shuts down in 2020. People are dropping like dominoes, and we're all just stuck inside washing our hands like maniacs. Official story? A virus from a bat or a lab. Take your pick. Spreads like wildfire, and governments scramble to save us. But peel back the curtain, and it's another rich man's trick. Who's making bank while we're masking up and losing jobs? Big pharma and billionaire tycoons. That's who. Check it. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson roll out vaccines faster than Usain Bolt running the 100-meter, raking in billions of dollars. Pfizer alone pulled in over $36 billion in 2021 from their jab. Meanwhile, governments worldwide are locking us down, pushing mandates, and handing out contracts like candy, all paid for with your tax money. And don't sleep on the billionaires. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and their crew saw their wealth skyrocket by hundreds of billions during the pandemic. Amazon shipping everything, Tesla stocks through the roof, and regular folks are broke or laid off. But it's deeper than profits. The elite used COVID to flex control, contact tracing apps, vaccine passports, QR codes to eat a burger. Suddenly, they're tracking us like never before. Big tech censoring anyone questioning the narrative, and farmers dodging liability for side effects cause they got legal immunity. Smells fishy, right? Some say the virus was a setup. Event 2001, a pandemic simulation run by Bill Gates and Pulse in 2019, predicted it all too perfectly. Coincidence? Maybe, but when the rich turn a crisis into a payday and a power grab, you gotta wonder, who's really calling these shots? See the pattern? From Hitler to JFK to 9/11 to the Iraq War to the financial crisis to COVID-19, it's the same hustle. The wealthy elite fund a dictator, whack a president, stage an attack, lie about WMDs, crash the economy, exploit a pandemic, all to stack cash and tighten their grip. It's crazy how it spans the decades, but the playbook never changes. Money talks, and these rich cats don't care who gets hurt. Hitler? Ford trucks, IBM's tech, bank records from Chase and JP Morgan. Hard proof. JFK? Witnesses everywhere, bust evidence, a cover-up led by the guy he fired. 9/11? Demolition style collapses and think tank's blueprint, insider stock moves. The Iraq War? Lies about WMDs, Halliburton's billions, Sini's ties. The financial crisis? Banks gambling with homes, getting bailed out, walking away richer. COVID-19? Farmers' billions, billionaires' gains, and a surveillance state on steroids. These ain't wild theories, they're receipts of how the elite operate. Here is the real kicker. These rich dudes live in a whole different world. Hitler's backers didn't flinch at funding a nightmare because he kept their wealth safe. JFK's killers didn't care about a nation grieving, they wanted control back. 9/11's masterminds watched towers fall and counted profits. The Iraq War's architects lied about WMDs and cash texts while soldiers died. Bankers crashed the economy and got a paycheck for it. COVID's winners locked us down and sacked billions while we fought over toilet paper. It's nuts what they'll do, and even nuttier how they skate free. Most of us are too busy on Netflix or TikTok to notice these strings. But now, you are clued in. Next time something big hits, ask who's getting paid. Follow the money, cause 9 times out of 10, it's the rich man's trick again. This ain't just history, it's the game they're still running. Hitler, JFK, 9/11, the Iraq War, the financial crisis, COVID-19. It's one long hustle and the wealthy elite are holding the cards. Crazy, right? Peace out.